I feel very strongly that Texans would be better served and people in general would have a greater interest in our primary elections and our system of nominating candidates for public office if the first primary date were moved to, say, the first week in August and the runoff date was moved to the first week in September.
I think the important areas or issues that were brought to the committee were those involving repeal of annual voter registration, the question of making the primary dates closer to the general election, the question of voting on Tuesdays instead of Saturdays, the question of putting the election processes under one election official, such as a voter registration official, instead of leaving part of it under the tax assessor's office.
Now, let's be candid with each other. Texas is too low in education for all of its people, we do not have as good an educational system as we should have, and each of us knows in our heart that there are areas of minority schools that aren't up to par. But the answer isn't forced busing to achieve a racial balance. The answer lies in the neighborhood schools with a freedom of choice and with a strong emphasis on quality.
Many times, the majority of the students actually take part in the campus demonstration, but for different reasons. What difference is there between the average student who will take part in the demonstration and those who lead the demonstration?
Well, it's a difference between the leader and the follower in any situation. You have people who come to a university for specific life goals. Their primary concern is to get a degree, get an education, or their concern is to participate in some particular activity. And you have others who are basically leaders. They're there to be activists. They're concerned about specific areas, you know, and they want to direct solutions to those problems as they see them. So what you have is students, for instance, leading moratoriums, and many other students who are, you know, concerned in other areas of the university coming in on this particular issue. For instance, at the University of Texas, where somebody organized a moratorium or a march in downtown Austin, and 20,000 people showed up.
The American dream of free enterprise became a reality today in Fort Worth with the official opening of Superior Tool Company here at 5801 East Rosedale. The company, which lathes, milling machines, and other metal cutting equipment, will manufacture both precision and non-precision parts. In September of last year, a group of businessmen formed what is now known as the Minority Business Foundation. This organization, working with the SBA, has been able to channel capital toward minority enterprises. Jim Reed of the Small Business Administration defines the role of the SBA, and Otis Martin, the president of the new manufacturing company here in Fort Worth, describes what this venture means to the black community of Fort Worth.
The Small Business Administration will assist Superior Tool Company in getting federal contracts through General Service Administration, the Defense Department, and other federal agencies, and will be able to manufacture for them general use items that will be purchased in millions of dollars. In this place, we're going to help people helping themselves by making employment, let them come into the plant and they're trained for better jobs to get the feeling that they can do something for themselves. We have our own people involved in this particular plant with their own money. At the present time, we haven't asked the government for anything. However, we are applying for loans, but this plant now has been financed solely by the members of the Minority Business Development Foundation and the stockholders of the Superior Tool Company.
Among the local and national dignitaries present at today's formal dedication was City Manager Howard McMahon and the Executive Vice President of the Fort Worth Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Ernie Larmer. Cochise Cash, Channel 8 News, on the move, Fort Worth.
Chief Robinson, you were first on the scene. What did you find when you got here?
Well, when we arrived, this area over here was completely involved due to a break in one of the lines over here. We had all the fuel spill from over in this area over here.
Now, this is where the 5-6 trucks were wiped out?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any damage estimates on the vehicles alone?
Well, I understand these are around $25,000 a piece on these trucks, and there was 5 of those that were completely destroyed.
Chief Moore, there was a shift change in the middle of this fire, and when you arrived, what was the situation?
When I arrived, this building here was completely involved on the inside. We had these 5 trucks over here going. We had a truck in each one of these loading racks. Had 4 trucks there, and they were all filling. Had hose lines to them. We had spillage out here. It was running toward this dock area. And I immediately come to Chief Robinson. We got together, and I conferred with him on what he had going, what kind of tactics he had going. We both decided to notify Dallas and ask for their foam truck, crash truck, to be sent to this location, and which it was an invaluable help. I really don't know whether we could have got it without them or not.
Do you have any speculation on how this fire started, Captain Robinson?
Well, like I said before, this flange blew out over here, and you had the spillage, and it run down to where they was trying to start a truck or something was working on it over here.
That's it, and a spark ignited fumes?
Apparently, that's what happened. And then we had all this area over here involved.
Do you feel that this is a move to go ahead and pass such an authorization and put it on his desk as an embarrassment?
Oh, it's completely a political move. It's very subtle, just like a elephant running into a brick wall, what they're trying to do. And they're saying that price and wage controls are his responsibility, that they don't have, but it's this big spending government. It's this democratic spending, all this wild spending is causing the inflation, and they don't want to take the blame for it.
You see, there's a big debate going on as to who's responsible for inflation. In my view, the national leadership of the Democratic Party in the Congress is responsible, because they spent $65 billion more than we took in as a country for 8 years. And there's no way you can live on this kind of a binge without having a little bit of a hangover when you sober up. And so they're trying to say, oh, let's let the government figure out. Let's get a little more government control to solve the problem. And I don't think we need wage and price controls.
A great deal of this credit must belong to the country from which he came, because it is good country. The people are very honest. They do take their government very serious. In the important position of Speaker, he's worked for the benefit of all Texans, and he has had to consider which decisions were best when applied to the entire state of Texas. However, Gus is your representative first, and he's Speaker of the House second. He's never forgotten his primary allegiance. He's been completely unselfish to this district, and he's been unselfish to the people of our state.
How do you feel about your chances of making the ball club now?
Well, judging from what Dallas has got coming back and the defensive backs, the opportunity lies in the one defensive back position. I feel that if I can do an adequate job at defensive back, that my chances are real good.